This time on V.W.G, I have all Canadians, starting with this incredible up-and-coming actor from Toronto, Ontario, Charlie Zeltzer. How are you doing, Charlie?
I'm good. How about
I'm doing good. Oh, you have such a sweet voice.
you? Thank you.
You're welcome. Before we get this started, you are the youngest actor or youngest anyone in my world to be interviewed.
It's an honor.
An honor is yours. Now, you're 10 years old. In 10 years from now, I searched you up on the internet.
Yeah, well, actually, I'm 11 now.
Oh, you're 11.
Yeah, I'm
Oh,
almost 12.
oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, in 10 years from now, where do you see yourself? Like, how many films, how many TV shows, like you would be in? Would you be in by then?
Well, of course, I love acting. It's one of my favorite things to do, but I'm also really interested in technology. During COVID, we all went virtual. So for me, that meant virtual school. And since then, I've absolutely, that was the first time I was always around technology. And so I fell in love with it. And so I started doing all sorts of things. Like I learned how to code and all that kind of stuff. And so now I'm more interested in artificial intelligence and CGI. I think probably I see myself when I'm 21 working in that business. But of course, I will always act on the sidelines because acting is the best and I love it.
Yes. There's notable Canadians out there like Ryan Reynolds, Ryan Gosling. Which notable Canadian do you want to work with in the future?
Hmm. Well, there's so many amazing Canadians out there, and I've been lucky enough to work with a bunch of them. But I hope you don't mind if I cheat a little bit
I
and
don't
go
mind. I don't
somebody
mind.
not Canadian because he's too amazing for me to not talk about, and that's Neil Patrick Harris. I
Oh
got into
yeah.
him through his books. I don't know if you've read them. They're called Magic Misfits. They're really good. I'm rereading them already. And then I read the little paragraph about what he's done, and I found out that he actually is also an actor. And so I watched a bunch of his shows, and I read a bunch, or and I sorry, and I watched a bunch of his movies, and I thought he was amazing, and I was already loving him. And then I find out that he also does musical theater and magic shows, and so he's like my hero. And I think working with him would be extremely I'd be starstruck, but at the same time, I think I could learn a lot from him.
Respect for Neil Patrick Harris.
Yes.
So you voiced characters on Total DramRama and Thomas and Friends. All engines go. Did you grow up watching Total Drama and Thomas and Friends? If you did, which one did you grow up with the most?
Yeah. So I didn't actually grow up with Total Drama, which I real and I started watching it after I got my role as floater on Total DramRama. Um, but I always watched Thomas. I grew up with Thomas, and so of course I was so ecstatic when I found out that I was going to be Percy. Um, so I'm gonna say Thomas has to win for this one, but of course I love Total DramRama and Total Drama, and I'd love to I wish I watched it when I was a little bit younger.
Yes, me too. Just kidding, just kidding. Which current actor have you worked with the most? If
It's
you
hard to
can,
say.
if you
Yeah,
can
that's hard to
remember.
say. Um, because yeah, that's just pretty hard to say. But let's focus on Thomas because I actually have something really interesting to share. Because in
Ooh,
voiceover, you normally actually record solo. So I go in. There's of course there's the technician and there's the voice director and a little bit more of the crew, but there's no other actors in there normally. And so I record all my stuff and I leave, and then everyone else does that, and then the amazing editors they stitch it all together, creating the episode. Um, but sometimes I do what's called an ensemble record, which means I go in with another actor. And
yes.
so for me, that's normally Kai, who plays Thomas. And we have a lot of fun, and he's awesome, and I love
Yep, Thomas and Percy always go great
it.
together.
Yeah.
Finally, what kind of TV shows do you want to be part of next? Like comedy, reality, dramatic?
Well, there's so many amazing different kinds of shows, but I think if I had to choose, I'd probably go with something with a lot of special effects because when I do shows like when I'm TV and film, there's always like an actor there in front of me that I'm talking to. So, for example, if I was walking through the woods and this big scary person jumps out at me, like there's an actual person jumping out at me. But from what I've gathered with shows with a lot of special effects, like for example, if there was a big alien that was landing and jumping out, they're not going to go to Mars and they're going to find an alien. They're going to use CGI. So I think that would be a difficult challenge, and I'd really love to experience that. And also, like I said before, I'm a huge tech nerd, and I think it would be super cool to see like how they make it, who's involved, and what technology they use. And I think I could learn a lot from this.
Very sweet. Thank you for being part of my interview.
No
Oh,
problem. Thank you so much.
you're welcome. Before we end, do you want to ask me anything?
Um, how did you get into interviewing?
I like talking to people. I enjoy talking to people, and that's what inspired me to do this YouTube thing.
That's awesome.
For sure, for sure.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
No problem.